This is another episode of Garage Sale Safari. I'm going to start off with this pastel painting I picked up this morning. Awesome little piece. It is done by George Herbert Baker, an Indiana artist that died in the 40s. And the reason I really wanted to talk about this one, I mean, obviously it's fantastic looking farm scene, excellent artist. You could just tell that as soon as you looked at it that it's something special about it. He's super famous artist from Indiana. As I looked at like askart.com, and they have 191 auction records of his, which is huge. And then anyhow, really well done piece, really good looking, nicely framed. It was $15, but I wanted to talk about why you look at the back. Now it would have just said G.H. Baker on the front, which makes it pretty hard to track down. Not impossible, but a lot harder. But if you look at the back, this one has a whole bunch of information. It says George H. Baker on the back. It also tells a bunch of other information about it. He was an Indiana artist. It was framed. You can see where the framer put their label on here. It was framed in Indiana, which obviously makes it much more likely to be his. And as it says, it also says his name and all on the back, but people often don't bother to look at the back and the information there. It also says $14.99. That's what we paid for it. I'm going to say this one, he's a really good artist, well known and very popular, and this is a spectacular piece. I'll put it on eBay just to get rid of it, but and see how it goes. But I can't see it going for any less than $150, and more from what I've looked at his auction records and all, more likely to go $225 on up. And again, as I was saying, with that porcelain piece, look on the back, the porcelain bust, and you'll probably find out a lot more information. We were able to find out a lot more information about her by doing a bit of research from the stuff on the back of that porcelain bust, and she's actually a very famous artist. It turned out to be KPM porcelain, and we were able to find all that out by looking at the information on the back. Now, that being said, that painting is the first thing we'll talk about. Don't know exactly why they call it a pastel painting, since it's kind of more, chalk, but they do call it a painting, so we'll call it a pastel painting. And the next things I was going to talk about is vintage and antique scientific pieces, and all can be very collectible. These are by a very good maker called DeNoyer and Geppert. They were made in USA. This first one is model of kidneys and human kidneys, and I got all of these. There was a fourth one which is a big ear, but I just didn't really have the space or the ability to display it too well. While we were talking about it, you can see this still has its label that says DeNoyer and Geppert, and this piece I got them all for $30 each. I am going, actually $100, so there was $25 each. And this one I would say would probably go for at least the 50 to 60 range. The next one is human larynx, and I will pick that one up too. It also has the label on the wood, and that one was also $25. And as you can see, an interesting piece. And they're very collectible, their stuff. How I knew when I saw it that this brand is super collectible is I've had their charts. They made maps and whatnot for the classrooms, but their old scientific charts do really well. I've had those in the past, picked up a whole bunch of them from somebody that lived next to an old high school and had collected them up when they were being thrown away, and a bunch of like fish and different things like that. And the ones that were in good condition, I was getting into the hundreds of dollars each for. So their stuff can be really good. And this next one is a human eyeball. You can see you can take it apart. You can see the different lenses. You can pull it completely apart, so kids could really learn about it. This one, they're all obviously three-dimensional, so you could really get an idea of what it was and how it worked. So any of these old scientific things can be, or medical pieces can be super collectible. I can't see getting less than about 85 or 90 at least for this one, and the ear probably the same range, probably at least 60 or so each on these. So more than double our money on them, and they were just interesting pieces. Not something I'd want around my house for any period of time, but interesting pieces. And as I say, if you ever find their old scientific charts, like they had like fish, botanical charts, any of that biological things. Super collectible and really interesting artwork. The last thing, I picked up this German nutcracker. It doesn't have its German mark on it anymore, maker's mark label on it anymore, but it's clearly German. The quality is far too nice to be the cheap Chinese knockoffs that you see now. The old nutcrackers can be super collectible. I've had them go for 150 bucks before, things like that. They could probably be a lot more expensive. It's just the best ones I've had. This one was $8 at a garage estate sale, and I can't see getting any less than 35 or 40. We may wait until Christmas time, but it's really good condition. Drummer, and as I say, and German, so that makes it real collectible. The Chinese ones, they're not worth anything. They're probably not worth more than what you. They're not worth anything once you walk the store out of the store with them, and they're pretty poorly made and not very interesting and not very artistic. But these, you can see they've really gone into a lot of detail on it. The drum is wood and turned. It's like really a nice piece, and probably it feels to be real fur, real pine cone on his hat, all that sort of thing. I mean these. They're just clearly above and beyond the quality of the cheap Chinese knockoffs. So anyhow, you can see that it did have a label down here, and it's often where you'll find it, and they'll often be burned in too with a maker's name, that sort of thing. And a lot of the makers are real collectible. This as I say, I can't imagine getting any less than 35 or 40 for it, and it was $8, and it makes it an interesting item to talk about because it is another type of collectible that's real popular. Thank you and have a great day.